Okay, so this is my example of the monocot flower that I will be identifying the parts of, and I want to say it's a lily. So I decided it was a monocot because it has groups of 3 petals. There's 3 in the middle and 3 outer petals, and I also identified it as a monocot because it has parallel veins. You can see right there. They're not webbed, they're very parallel. And now I'm going to identify the structures. So that little yellow thing that's hanging off right there, that is an anther, and it is part of it's the top part of the stamen. And then the little, the thing that it's attached to, I think it fell off, is a filament. It's very thin, and the anther attaches to the top of it. And from the anther comes pollen grains that will they each produce 2 sperm cells. And when I was looking at the flower, I could see tiny little pieces of pollen. It was cute. Okay, so this big structure in the middle is pretty thick. The rest of the filaments are very skinny and small. This one is very thick, so I identified it as the pistil. And at the very top, where you can see like the 3 little things sticking out, those are the stigma, and beneath the stigma is a style. And then inside the pistil, if we were to inside are the ovaries and the ovary, and then inside is the ovules that produce one egg cell. And so I already identified the stamen. The stamen is the filament and the anther. That's the whole thing. And what else do I need to identify? Okay, the sepal, I don't think mine was attached. I think I accidentally ripped it off. But if it was here, it would be like around right here. Probably on top sticking out, but I plucked it off my mom's Valentine's Day flower. Oops. And then right here is a receptacle. And then at the bottom is a peduncle. I think that covered most of the pieces. So just a reminder, the pistil in the middle, that is the female floral parts, and around it with the anther and the filament, the stamen, is the male floral parts. Alright, so my second monocot plant is aloe vera from my backyard, and it is a monocot because its veins are parallel. If you can see the line going up, all the way up. And the seed and when it grows, the embryo is with only 1 cotyledon. And when you look at aloe vera, it's a succulent, and I'm pretty sure all succulents are monocots. And then my last monocot plant, this is from my little palm tree in the backyard. It is a monocot because its veins are also parallel, and the leaf is the bundles, like the stems and the leaves, they're spread out. They're not like in like a bunch like sunflowers would be. So these are my 3 monocots. Alright, so for my eudicot flower, I chose to identify a carnation, and a carnation is a eudicot because it has more than 3 sets of petals. The petals, I'm pretty sure, either come in 4 or 5. I don't know. I kind of like ripped it so I could expose the floral structures. On the outside is going to be the peduncle, the sepal, and the receptacle at the, it would be like right here. This would be the peduncle, and this would be the receptacle, and then some of the sepal could be right here. I think they also stick out right there too. Anyway, so inside is the floral female and male parts, and it was kind of hard to identify which was which, but these tiny little thin ones, this is the stamen. So this is the filament at the top, or the thin part is the filament, and usually at the top of a filament will be the anther, where the pollen would usually sit, and each pollen grain will produce 1 or 2 sperm cells. And then, so that, the anther and the filament, right, the thin one will be the stamen, which is all part of the male floral parts. And then the female parts were a little bit more harder to identify because they didn't have any of the stigma or style, anything connected to it, but I'm going to say it is these thicker pieces right here, which will be the thick right there. So that thick piece right there is going to be the pistil, which the pistil at the very top would usually be the stigma, and then the style, and then the ovary. And inside there would be the ovules, which they each produce 1 egg cell. So this is the pistil, which is the female floral part. I hope I identified that right. I couldn't find very many eudicot flowers, so I have to use fake sunflowers. Right, so the second eudicot plant that I chose to identify was a sunflower. They are not real, but this is the closest to real we're gonna get. So they are eudicot because their leaves are webbed, their veins are webbed instead of parallel. And you see that they're webbed right there. And when a sunflower seed germinates, it consists of 2 cotyledons instead of 1, which monocots have only 1 cotyledon, but sunflowers have 2, so that's why it is a eudicot instead of a monocot. So my last eudicot flower today will be my rose that I got for Valentine's Day, and the first reason that it is a eudicot is that its petals are in groups of 4. I counted earlier, and it has 4 petals along the rim and 4 petals every other layer up. And the second reason is that roses have 2 cotyledons. The third reason is that their leaves have netted veins. And I don't know if this is also a reason, but my rose bush in our backyard that has not bloomed yet, its stems are very, they have wood and bark. Like, it's almost like wood. So I feel like that would also be another reason as to why it is a eudicot.